Hey all, this is Kasank Ma Keparu, and today I'm here. I want to talk to you about a very important subject, which I'm calling how rap music is poisonous. Now, this is something that we need to be aware of and what's going on because I think what's happening now is that the dominant culture, the pop culture, has become obsessed and infatuated with the rap industry, and we really don't understand its origins, where it's at now, and where it's going. And there are those out there in the mainstream who are trying to educate people a little bit more about what the music industry is doing and how they're trying to manipulate us through rap music, but they're not going far enough. In fact, what they're proposing is things like, well, we just need to change the lyrics, but it goes deeper than that. And I just want to kind of reveal what's going on here. So, what I mean by rap music is poisonous, I'm not saying that it can be salvaged. There's aspects of it that can be really great. Rap started out in I believe it was the South Bronx, and it really had like a revolutionary tone to it. We talked about groups like Public Enemy in the previous broadcast I did, and how they were out to really change things, but then came along the big corporate giants, the music industry, that co-opted it, paid these guys off, and now the majority of the rappers you see out there are pumping out really negative messages about smoking weed, getting high, gang banging, and things of that nature. So, but there's something very insidious going on that we need to really understand, and it's twofold, right? And let me just go into that. The first, of course, has to deal with the idea that the lyrics are bad, you know. But the idea here is that when you're looking at the rap industry, what's going on? Hey, this is Kazak Ma Keparu, and let's try this again. I was streaming before, and I think every time I try to do something of real social consciousness, the stream stops. It's very interesting. But anyway, I'm titling this "How Rap Music is Poisonous," and I want to detail for you what exactly do I mean by that, because we all know that certain rappers, certain aspects of rap music is detrimental to society, but many in the mainstream pop culture thinks that it can be saved. And what we see is a lot of people talking about, well, there's some bad lyrics, there's some bad artists, let's just get rid of those and focus on the positive aspects of rap. But what I'm trying to tell you is that the entire industry, the music industry, rap music, is corrupt, and there's no saving it. And let's detail the specifics of that. We know that rap industry kind of started in the South Bronx, and it was a very revolutionary type of music at the time. And when it moved forward, we saw groups come out of the woodworks like Public Enemy, who were focused on uplifting African Americans out of oppression, out of racism. But then rap turned a corner and became very dark as the major corporate conglomerates saw the use of it, co-opted it, and then pumped it out there with the negative lyrics. With everything was about women, it was about smoking weed, it was about getting as much money as possible, and which brings us to present day. That's what's happening now, as we see that the majority of rap music, you can say it's gangster rap or just hip hop, whatever, is geared toward the negative. Now, what I'm trying to communicate to you is not just about the lyrics, because I'm seeing that I think it's Eric Dyson and some of these individuals are saying, well, if you change the lyrics, it can be used for more positive things to educate people, especially young kids, and that is just simply not so. Changing the lyrics doesn't do a darn thing. And let me just explain to you why. You have to understand that the idea of what Madison Avenue is doing, what the corporate music industry giant is doing, is that they want us to not focus on the true culture of African Americans, which is African culture, which is spirituality, because we know from things like the Haitian Revolution and other things of that nature that this culture was instrumental in gaining liberation and freedom for our people. So, so for us to move away from that, what they want us to adopt is rap hip hop culture as a dominant mainstream black culture. Because if they can do that, not only do they prevent the revolution of consciousness, but they can sell us more products and services and we can become more manipulated as a group because we're homogenous. We're one group now. We're not spread out and factionalized and things of that nature. So their goal is to supplant African culture with rap culture and saying that black culture is rap culture, and that's not true. That's ridiculous, you know. And many people are drinking the Kool-Aid and following along that line of thought. And what you'll see is that rap makes things look so pretty, so glorified. You know, you have the women, you have the money, you have the cars, you have the house, and it's very hard to go back to your roots of the African culture when they're throwing so much of this monetary things at you. But it's something that we have to really focus on and think about. Now let's go back to the lyrics. Now obviously the lyrics are corrupt. We know that, and obviously there's some better artists out there that are not focusing on lyrics that are glorify, you know, misogyny, acquisition of wealth as the end all and be all of life. But I want you to know that the beat in rap music, the music itself is tuning you into a very evil type of spirit possession because it's very male, masculine dominated. The studies have shown that the beat in rap is making individuals more aggressive, violent, emotional, and impulsive. The more you listen to rap, the more impulsive you are to buy certain things, to just do things without thinking. And this is important to understand because what's happening when any type of music, not just rap, when you listen to it repeatedly, you go into the trance state. And while in that state, you're susceptible because you're tuned into the right brain to suggestions. So along comes the lyrics that makes these suggestions about all life is about is bitches and getting high and weed and you know, seeking fame and fortune. And that's centered on the ego, and it's also centered on individualism. So you're no longer operating as a collective group for the benefit of the whole, to liberate the whole, but now you're out to become what I call is a super capitalist or a unicorn. So you need to understand that in order to get people out of deprivation and poverty, you need to look at things on a scalable platform. These super capitalists who are making tons and tons of money, like Jay-Z, Lil Wayne, there is nothing that they can do in terms of their wealth and power to increase the standing of the whole. Because true wealth not only is about making money now, but it's about wealth transference to the next generation, so that the next generation coming after you doesn't have to work as hard, but has something in terms of a house, or, you know, property, money, so that it can start off on a better footing. So what you'll find is if you look at the real movers and shakers and the captains of industry, such as like Bill Gates, you know, Jeff Bezos of Amazon. These individuals have something that's scalable, meaning they have platforms, they have businesses that employs lots and lots and lots of people. And when you have that, you instantly better the condition of the masses fairly quickly. You know what I mean? So what does rap does? So rap is more geared towards spending as much money as you can, as fast as you can, because, you know, the whole idea is you enjoy life, you only live once. But this is part of what I call social engineering. They're engineering us to think a certain way, to act a certain way that's diametrically opposed to the well-being of the whole. And this comes directly out of think tank institutions like, for example, Tavistock and the Heritage Foundation. These organizations specifically create culture. This is what they do. They come up with an ideology, a philosophy, a way of life, and inject that into society and have the masses follow along with it, and the masses never realizing that it's very detrimental to them. And this is where we find ourselves with rap culture. It is very detrimental to the majority of African Americans because if you follow behind the principles of that, you can't build wealth. There's no economic stability behind that. The majority of men, young men today, and even old men into their 40s and 50s, are chasing a rap career. And your odds of being a Jay-Z or a famous rapper are so remote, but you're under this type of hypnotic suggestion or reality tunnel that makes you think that you can achieve this. And more importantly, if you achieve this, your life will be great, when in reality, it won't be. It won't be. So this is something that we have to take a better look at as to what's going on. And what I find that's a real big indicator that there's this hypnotic trance state going on with these kids trying to chase this pipe dream, is that there cannot be a conversation or any type of dialogue where rap is not interjected in that, rap or hip hop. And it's funny because I know that the big corporate giants want to try and sell us everything, so they want to make it part of the dominant culture. But when you have individuals out there who all they can talk about are rappers or putting together a label or going seeing the latest NWA film or whatever, there's a problem there. That is an obsession, an unhealthy obsession with something. You know what I mean? And when we should be looking at the famous inventors, we should look at different paradigms in terms of starting businesses to get us out of the situation that we're in. And we shouldn't be looking to be part of an exclusive elite class that cannot help other people. Does this make sense? Do you understand what I'm saying? So we're faced with a real dilemma here, and the majority of us are not realizing what's going on. And let me say this again: when you have grown men 50 years old talking about rap, that's arrested development. That shows that you have not matured to where you can focus on things, on the bigger picture and things that really matter in this lifetime. That's a real issue, and I don't think people are becoming aware of that. So let's take this a step further. Now, we know that individuals like Einstein, and Imhotep, all these geniuses of history, we're not born geniuses. They came about because there is a specific way that we know that children can be taught to techniques of accelerated learning to become geniuses or genii. And the Russians kind of pioneered this, and there's a book out called Super Learning, and it really details that how when you take music and you inject harmonic frequencies, which is what the ancient Egyptians practiced, and subliminal suggestions, you can create geniuses in certain fields. This is not something, these geniuses are not anomalies. There's a way that we can produce this, but the big secret of the music industry is that they're not going to reveal this information to you, because on the harmonic frequencies, as I was speaking about earlier, there's a frequency for healing any sicknesses you have. There's a frequency for weight loss. There is a frequency if you want to become better at mathematics. This is information that is all out there on the web that we can access, but no one's taking this information and creating new tracks of music that has this embedded in it so that we can now create a revolution of consciousness to produce geniuses. Newton, we can produce more Newtons. This is, but modern day contemporary society will have you believe, again, that these individuals were anomalies, and they're not. There's a pattern. There's a way to go about it that we can educate the masses. Unfortunately, the major universities of today work in conjunction with the think tank organizations I mentioned before to misinform and miseducate the population and to inject a culture that is detrimental to them. If you look at the way African American culture has the hoodie, the way it's, a lot of young men are caught up in smoking weed, which pacifies you and dulls your mind and your state. All of this is not by accident. It's not. You know what I mean? The low grades of African American males in the Western school system is not by accident. It comes about that when you're continually exposing yourself to certain music and frequencies that don't attune yourself to a higher vibrational idea or consciousness, this is what the result is going to be. And let's go a little bit further, all right? Now, when you look at the aspect that these individuals who are part of the global elite, who control the planet, know the power of music. And they know that it can open up psychic centers to where spirits can come in to possess you. They know this. And those spirits can be malevolent or benevolent, you know? It depends on what you're tuning into. And most often, we're tuning into very negative spirits that work against us. Think about that. You know, just for the same thing, if you become very passionate about something and you go at it with a gusto, well, that's kind of like being possessed by the spirit of something. You know, same principle. So we have to, and then what they do is they have the concerts. The concerts are nothing but elaborate rituals designed to invoke the spirit to come into the artist, so the artist can relinquish his or her body and control his or her will to the spirit, and let the spirit take control and do whatever it wants to do and whatever it was programmed to do. Which brings me to the next thing I wanted to discuss, is that when you see this type of social engineering going on, what you're seeing is more or less that we're programmed and we're carrying out the program of the Matrix. You know, you're not seeing individuals walking around fully conscious making their own decisions. They're reactionary. They're just doing what they have been programmed to do, you know, which is to like inject rap into every aspect of their life, smoke weed, pursue individualism above the collective good, you know, idol worship, all right, spend irresponsibly and not care about it, you know. So this is where we are at right now. And again, to produce talented geniuses is not hard. But this secret knowledge has been kept away from us to where, you know, I don't understand how these young artists keep producing these tracks that they know are harmful, but yet no one has dived into this higher knowledge of taking the tracks and embedding them with the subliminal suggestions, the frequencies to elevate people's consciousness. That tells you that we're hypnotized, that we can't see straight. Our third eye is not open, you know. And the more we look at, we try to save rap music and we say it's salvageable, we can do something with it for positive aspects. It's not true. You can't. It's at a point now where it's been taken so far that it would take the instantaneous mass awakening of the masses to turn it around. And that's not going to happen because we're dealing, and what has to happen is a civil war, because we're dealing with people in the African American community who are confirmed in their wrongdoing and won't change. It's become a ratchet culture that thrives on ratchetness, and they want to be that way. So they're not going to change. So there has to be some type of revolution first within our group before we can look outside of our group, you know, to liberate us. It's going to be a tough battle. It's going to be a tough battle because we don't understand the nature of the enemy, how powerful they are. We don't understand the enemies that we're facing from within. We don't understand who we are, which is God, man, God, woman. So there's a lot to overcome there. And rap music is a programming device. It's been created for social engineering purposes to have us defeat ourselves. You know, so I think that is all I have to say right now. I hope I've given you some insight, and this, you can take this a lot further. I mean, there are books that are written on the demonic and satanic nature of the music industry, and rap is only an extension of that. You know, and what they're using. I mean, they're going through these waves. Just like you have the first and second wave of feminism or whatever. rap is going through these different waves where they want to emasculate the men now, get rid of gender roles and things of that nature. And they're moving in those directions. And if we're not careful, if we don't awaken in time and start to tune into real music that's of a higher frequency, we're not going to make it, because we're not going to be conscious of what we're doing, because this music appeals to the right brain, which is the seat of the emotions, and the right brain gets you to act without thinking. We'll never realize that we're doing things, because we're not going to be conscious of what we're doing. We're just going to be zombies, which is what the media is trying to tell us about all these proliferation of zombie films about you're walking dead, you're a zombie, So anyway, I think that's all I have to say. I hope you enjoyed this video. If you like it and you want to see more, like the video and subscribe to my YouTube channel. And until next time, this is Kazakh Ma Keparu, and that's all for now.